Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on a really crucial part of the aerospace and military sectors.
That's right. The market for auxiliary power units, or APUs,
Mm,
often unseen, but absolutely vital.
exactly. And consider this your sort of rapid immersion into this whole industry. We've got a great piece here from Cognitive Market Research.
Yeah, it really digs into the key players, the trends, basically where things are heading.
So our mission today, to pull out the most important insights, market size, growth, who's who, and what's driving it all.
And the growth forecast is actually quite surprising, I think listeners will find. It's pretty significant.
Definitely. Okay, so maybe for anyone less familiar, what exactly is an APU?
Well, think of it as a small extra engine or power plant on an aircraft. It's not for propulsion, though.
Right, it provides power on the ground for
Mm.
lights, aircon, starting the main engines, that kind of thing.
Precisely. And crucially, it's also an emergency power backup if needed during flight.
Which is why it's so important. And
Wow.
with demand for new planes rising, plus, military spending going up globally.
This market becomes really interesting. It's got scale and real importance.
Okay, let's unpack it then. Let's get to the heart of it.
Right. So let's kick things off with the market overview, the big picture.
Where does it stand now and where's it going?
According to the research back in 2023, the market was valued at USD 451.6 million.
So over $4.3 billion. That's already substantial.
It is, but here's the projection. By 2032, it's expected to hit USD 955.4 billion.
Wow. Okay, wait. Did you say billion? The source says 955.4 million. Let's double check that.
Ah, you're absolutely right. My mistake. Let me correct that. USD 955.4 million. Good catch, thanks. Still significant growth, but not quite astronomical.
Okay, $5.9 billion. Sorry, million. So growing from 4.3 million to nearly 6 million by 2032, that's still impressive.
It is indeed. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 4.0%.
4% growth year on year. That signals a steadily expanding market.
Definitely.
Yeah.
More opportunities, more innovation needed, but maybe also some challenges with supply chains, finding talent.
And like we touched on, it's easy to see why. These APUs are just indispensable.
They really are. For ground ops, for that emergency reserve in the air, they're critical functions.
And the drivers behind this growth, what did the article pinpoint?
Several key things. Continuous improvements in APU technology itself, for one.
Better performance, more efficient units.
Exactly. Plus, that surge in demand for new aircraft, both commercial planes and military ones.
And you mentioned military spending earlier.
Yes, the global rise in military expenditure is definitely a major factor feeding into this market growth.
But it's not just about more aircraft, is it? The article mentions something about fuel efficiency and emissions, too.
That's a really critical point, yeah.
Hmm.
There's huge pressure for APUs to be more energy efficient and lighter, too.
So less fuel burn, lower emissions. It ties into those broader industry goals.
Absolutely. Regulations are getting stricter, and that pushes manufacturers to innovate. They need reliable, lightweight, but still powerful units.
So it's a mix. More planes needed, those planes needing better, greener APUs, and more military spending. Quite a combination.
It really is.
Geographically speaking, where's the main hub for this market?
The analysis points strongly to North America being the leader right now.
Which makes sense, doesn't it? High aircraft production, massive U.S. military budget.
And a lot of the key companies are actually based there. Honeywell, for example.
Yeah, the infrastructure is there. The article mentioned a strong supply chain and lots of investment in R&D in North America, too.
Exactly. That really solidifies their dominant position. The ecosystem is well developed.
Okay, speaking of key companies, let's dive into those. Who are the big players identified in the research?
The report lists the top 5 manufacturers. We're talking Honeywell International, Microturbo, which is now Safran Power Units,
Okay.
Jenoptik, Falkschmidt Defense Systems, and the Marvin Group.
Right. Let's start with the leader, Honeywell. Huge company, long history.
Definitely. Headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, founded way back in 1906. They're massive, operating across several sectors.
And aerospace is one of their biggest divisions, right?
One of the largest, yes. They pour a lot into R&D, focusing on fuel efficiency, safety, connectivity.
And they supply APUs across the board, commercial, military, business jets.
Pretty much the whole spectrum. Their APUs are generally seen as having sophisticated tech, good fuel efficiency, and being very reliable.
And you mentioned connectivity. What does that mean for an APU?
Well, think digital integration. Smart systems for better operational efficiency, even predictive maintenance.
So the APU can signal potential problems before they happen.
That's the idea. Improve uptime, reduce maintenance costs.
Yeah.
It's about the data as much as the hardware now.
Interesting. What about their financial clout in this market?
Okay, so Honeywell's total 2023 revenue was around $37 billion. Aerospace makes up about 40% of that.
And the military APU part within aerospace?
That's smaller, estimated around 5–10% of the aerospace revenue. But even so, their overall share in the aerospace and military APU market is estimated at a dominant 35%. 35%? That's a huge chunk. What gives them that edge? History. R&D. It's likely a combination. Their long history, that broad product range, continuous R&D investment. It builds a strong position.
Hard to compete with that kind of scale and experience. Okay, next up, Microturbo, now Safran Power Units, French company.
Correct. Based in Toulouse, founded in 1961, became part of Safran in 2005. Safran Power Units is a big name in propulsion, APUs, gas turbines.
Providing power solutions for aerospace and defense.
Exactly. Critical stuff. Their APUs are used in both civil and military aircraft.
Powering avionics, lighting, environmental controls, especially when engines are off or in emergencies.
Precisely. And their focus is very much on compact, lightweight, high performance, and fuel-efficient designs.
That seems to be the trend, smaller, lighter, more efficient. Where do we see their APUs used?
A real mix. Military fighters, drones, UAVs, business jets, helicopters. Quite diverse.
And their market position, how do they stack up against Honeywell?
Well, the parent company, Safran, had about $20 billion in revenue in 2023. The APU part from Safran Power Units is a fraction of that, naturally. But their estimated market share in the APU segment is still significant, around 20%. They have a very strong presence, especially in European markets.
Okay, so Honeywell leads globally, but Safran is a very strong number 2, particularly in Europe. Got it. Who's next? Jenoptik from Germany.
Yes, Jenoptik,
Yeah.
based in Jinan, established 91. They're more of a broad technology group, optics, photonics, precision systems.
But they have a specific division relevant here.
Right, their defense and civil systems division. That's where they play in the military APU space.
So their focus within APUs is primarily military.
That's correct. They provide high-performance units for military vehicles, ground systems, designed for tough environments.
Built to meet strict military specs, I imagine?
Exactly. Reliability and efficiency in challenging conditions are key for them, and they offer more than just APUs in that division too.
Likewise.
Power generators, vehicle management systems, optical systems as well.
How big are they in the APU market specifically?
Company-wide revenue in 2023 was about $900 million. APU-related products make up maybe 10% of that.
Okay.
So their estimated market share in the overall aerospace and military APU market is around 10%. A notable player, especially in that military niche.
10%. Significant, but smaller than the top 2. Okay, moving on to Falkschmidt Defense Systems. Denmark, right? And purely defense-focused.
Absolutely. Based in Odense, founded 1932, they specialize entirely in the defense sector. APUs, hydraulic systems, even missile launchers.
So a real specialist defense supplier.
Very much so. They've built a reputation for reliable power solutions, specifically for military applications.
And I assume their APUs are built tough for extreme conditions.
Precisely. Engineered for reliability, durability, performance in harsh environments, you find them in various military vehicles, keeping critical systems running when the main engine's off.
Essential for battlefield readiness. What's their market footprint like?
Their total revenue in 2023 was roughly $100 million. A good chunk of that comes from military APUs.
Okay.
Their estimated market share in the broader APU market we're looking at is around 8%, mostly concentrated in specific defense niches.
Right, so a smaller share overall, but important in their specific area. Lastly, the Marvin Group, California-based, family-owned.
That's the one. Inglewood, California, established 1963, still family-owned. They operate through different divisions, Marvin Engineering, Test Solutions, and Marvin Land Systems.
And Marvin Land Systems is the key one for APUs.
Yes, that division focuses specifically on APUs for military vehicles and defense apps.
What's their emphasis? Performance, reliability.
All of the above, really. Designed for continuous operation of critical systems, high performance, reliability, efficiency, even in tough conditions.
And they do other defense stuff too.
Yes, ground support equipment, missile launchers,
Right.
a range of products for aerospace and defense globally.
What about their size and market share?
Total group revenue in 2023 was about $300 million. The APU segment is estimated at around 15% of that.
Okay.
So their estimated market share in the overall aerospace and military APU market comes in at about 7%. A competitive, though smaller, player.
Okay, so that paints a clear picture of the established leaders. Honeywell, way out front, Safran strong, then Jenoptik, Falkschmidt, and Marvin Group as significant players, especially in certain niches.
Exactly. But the story doesn't end there. The article also flags some emerging players.
Ah, the potential disruptors. Who are they and why are they seen as a threat?
The research mentions Dewey Electronics, Kinetics, Pratt Whitney, and Rolls-Royce.
Pratt and Whitney and Rolls-Royce. Those are giants in engines. Interesting. Let's take them one by one. Dewey Electronics.
Dewey focuses on portable power, especially for the military. Their angle could be developing really efficient, compact, maybe customized APUs for specific military contracts.
So winning niche business that way.
Potentially, yes. Nibbling away at market share by meeting very specific needs that maybe the bigger players aren't as focused on.
Makes sense. What about Kinetics?
They're known for cutting-edge fluid management systems and also APUs. Their strength is innovation.
So they might attract customers looking for the latest, most integrated tech?
That seems to be the idea. If they can offer demonstrably better, more modern solutions, especially for demanding military users, they could gain traction.
Technology as the differentiator. Now, Pratt & Whitney, huge engine maker. How do they fit into APUs?
Well, they have massive R&D capabilities in propulsion. They could leverage that know-how to develop really high-performance APUs.
Appealing to both defense and commercial customers.
You'd think so. Their name carries weight, and they have existing relationships across the industry. It gives them a potential pathway into the APU market.
A powerful potential entrant. And Rolls-Royce, similar story.
Very similar. Another giant in aerospace propulsion. They can use their brand strength, their technology track record.
And push into the APU space.
Exactly. Offer high-efficiency, high-performance APUs, potentially win major defense contracts. Their reputation for quality engineering is a big asset.
So these aren't small startups. These are established companies, some huge, looking to leverage their strengths in a related area. That could shake things up.
It definitely could. They bring different strategies, but specialization, innovation, leveraging existing scale and reputation.
So if you're a new company, not one of these giants, trying to break into this market, what does the article suggest is the path to success?
It lays out a few key strategies. First off, a big focus needs to be on improving reliability while reducing operational costs for the user.
Always a winner. Lower costs, less downtime.
Absolutely. Airlines, military operators, they're always looking at the total cost of ownership.
What else? Technology.
Definitely. Developing cutting-edge tech is crucial. Better efficiency, lower emissions, enhanced performance.
Specific areas.
The article mentions innovations in turbine tech, maybe hybrid power systems, and smarter digital controls for optimizing performance and predicting maintenance needs.
So real innovation, not just tweaking existing designs. Can newcomers compete on price?
That's another angle. Offering cost-effective solutions, competitive pricing, maybe through smarter manufacturing, economies of scale later on, or even using different materials if possible without sacrificing quality.
Undercutting the established players, perhaps?
It's a potential strategy, yes, especially for more budget-sensitive customers.
What about tailoring products? Customization.
That's highlighted too, providing APUs designed for very specific customer needs or niche markets.
Finding gaps the big players aren't filling.
Exactly. Maybe designing for extreme environments or unusual operational demands, being flexible and responsive to specific requirements.
And building relationships must be key too.
Absolutely crucial. Strong customer service, personalized support that builds loyalty.
And trust, I suppose. Especially regarding safety and compliance.
Yes. Ensuring full compliance with all the regulations, military specs, environmental rules, safety standards, and getting the certifications is non-negotiable. It shows you're a reliable partner.
Okay, so for a new entrant, focus on reliability and lower costs. Innovate with tech. Be price competitive. Offer custom solutions. Build strong relationships. And tick all the regulatory boxes.
That's a pretty good summary of the roadmap suggested, yes.
Yeah.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
Right. So bringing this all together now, what are the main conclusions from the article, the big takeaways?
Well, it circles back to that strong growth driver, the demand for lighter, more fuel-efficient aircraft. That's really pushing the market forward.
And it reiterates the market size and that projected growth to nearly million USD by 2032.
Correct. USD 500 and 955.4 million. And it stresses again just how vital these APUs are for aerospace and defense operations.
It also emphasizes that dynamic between the established giants and the emerging challengers, doesn't it?
It does. The dominant players, Honeywell, Safran, Jenoptik, Falkschmidt, Marvin Mark.
Hmm.
They rely on their tech leadership, reliability, experience. But the emerging ones, Kinetics, Dewey, Pratt and Whitney, Rolls-Royce, they're coming in focusing on cost, innovation, or specific niches. It keeps the landscape competitive.
So for everyone listening, the key things to grasp are this APU market is big and getting bigger.
Significant growth ahead, yeah.
A few major players dominate right now, but
Look, there's real potential for disruption from companies bringing new tech or strategies.
and never underestimate the importance of the APU itself. It might seem like a small part, but it's critical for aircraft operations, both commercial and military.
Absolutely. Hopefully this deep dive gives you, the listener, a solid shortcut to understanding this important sector and where it's headed.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. As we see battery technology getting better and better and this huge push for sustainable aviation fuels, how might that change the role or even the fundamental design of APUs in the future? Will they become more electric? Integrate differently?
That's a fascinating question, isn't it? How these broader energy trends will impact this specific piece of hardware. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And, just as a final note, if this discussion did spark more interest, the original Cognitive Market Research article mentions some related reports. Things like military aerospace coatings, commercial seating, the overall aircraft APU market, fluid conveyance systems.
So plenty more to explore if you want to go even deeper into these adjacent areas.
Exactly. Lots of interconnected systems in aerospace and defense.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Until next time.